Yesterday, the Alberta Federation of Labour launched a website listing businesses that donated to pro-UCP political action committees. And the AFL is urging supporters to boycott those businesses. Gil McGowan is the president of the Alberta Federation of Labour, and as you can see, he joins us now from Edmonton. So let's start with the why. Gil, why did the Federation decide to launch this boycott campaign?
Well, it's funny. The Premier talks about freedom, and that's what our campaign is all about. It's about providing individual Albertans with information that they can use to make free and independent choices about how to spend their money. And he talks about attacking businesses. Well, I'll turn it around and say that the UCP has spent the last year and a half attacking working Albertans, especially public sector workers, and also attacking a lot of the things that Albertans hold up as valuable, like public health care, public education. This is a government that's literally chasing doctors out of the province during a pandemic. They're underfunding schools as we're sending our kids back to school during a pandemic. And over the summer, they passed the most draconian anti-worker labor legislation in Alberta history. So they've literally taken overtime away from working Albertans, and they've tipped the playing field dramatically in favor of employers as workers. And in terms of the website that we've just launched, this agenda, this draconian anti-worker agenda that the UCP is pursuing, was bankrolled in part by more than 150 individual Alberta businesses. And as the Premier says, in a democracy, we have the freedom to take political positions. We're not suggesting that that's not the case, but the freedom of expression does not mean that you're free from consequences. And
all right, well, let's get to that then, Gil. You've been talking for almost 2 minutes. Let me in here. What is the end goal then? What is the consequence that you'd like to see for these businesses? You want them to go bust? You want them to lay people off? What do you want?
No, we don't want them to go bust, but we want them to think about the kind of agenda that they're supporting. And why should a nurse or a teacher or a municipal worker who is facing the prospect of losing their jobs or having their wage cut as a result of this very anti-worker agenda, why should they take their hard-earned income and use it to buy a car at an auto dealership that supported this agenda? And why should Albertans who believe in public education and public health care patronize businesses that are supporting an agenda of privatization and cuts? And as I mentioned, over the summer we had this very draconian anti-worker legislation that was passed by this government designed to weaken the bargaining power of working people.
You did mention that.
Why should workers spend their money on businesses that are promoting this? And
there are other ways to make that point, right? And you've decided to sort of go from the political, as the Premier says, going after parties, policies, even PACs, to what people would see as the personal. These businesses may employ people who are sympathetic to your views and maybe don't share the views of their employers, and now they're worried they're going to be laid off as a result of a boycott. 55% of Albertans did vote for the UCP. Aren't you worried about turning folks against your cause and, as a result, the NDP?
Well, I mean, if people were to lose their jobs, that would be unfortunate. And, and I'll make this offer today.
Well, what else could come of a boycott than people losing their jobs?
I'm going to make this offer. I mean, the businesses who contributed to these PACs, these pro-UCP PACs, may have been fooled, like a lot of other Albertans, about as a result of Jason Kenney's fear tactics that allowed him to win the last election. If they've had a change of heart and they no longer support the UCP and its draconian agenda, tell us and we'll take you off the list. I'm happy to do that. But in the meantime, don't tell me that I'm engaging in politics when these guys spent literally millions and millions of dollars supporting an agenda that they knew was going to hurt ordinary working people. And now, when those working people are, might have an opportunity to express their dissatisfaction by voting with their wallets, don't cry to me that don't make it political. Well, they wouldn't be on the list if they hadn't made it political themselves.
Why wouldn't you reach out to them first and then ask them if they've changed their minds and tell them about your campaign before outing them like this?
Well, I mean, first of all, the information that we're using was already publicly available on the Elections Alberta website. We're simply gathering it together in one place. And I would point out one of the reasons that we've chosen the timing that we've had is that the biggest of those pro-UCP PACs, the PAC that's called Shaping Alberta's Future, is active again. And so they've been spending thousands and thousands of dollars on paid placement for guest columns in newspapers across the country, promoting this idea of pulling Alberta out of the Canada Pension Plan, which we think would be an awful idea in terms
of course, Gil, they're not the only PAC out there, right? There are NDP sympathetic PACs, so now people are going to wonder, all right, could we see retaliation with businesses and people who supported the NDP through a PAC being targeted by a counter campaign? Let me ask you this. Our politics, as you know, they're already so polarized in the extreme these days. Where does it stop, Gil?
Well, it started with the UCP. I mean, we've never seen a government as divisive as this one. They're using tactics similar to the tactics used by the Trump government south of the border.
Gil, all due respect, I heard that. You've made that point. I'm asking you, where does it stop? Is it zero sum? Either we win or there's no compromise. Where does it stop?
Oh, so it should. We've been attacked. The labor movement, in particular, working people in particular, have been attacked. So the onus should be on us to play nice while they continue stabbing us in the back. I mean, like, listen, they essentially eliminated overtime for working people in Alberta with Bill 32 over the summer. They've dramatically tipped the playing field in workplace protections in favor of employers, and we're supposed to play nice. They haven't been playing, like, you're worried about tone and divisiveness and vindictiveness. Well, I'd say that the UCP in general and Jason Kenney in particular, they've cornered the market on mean-spiritedness and vindictiveness and divisiveness. Don't you dare turn this on us and say, now that they punched us in the face, they've pushed us down, and we're pushing back, and somehow it's our fault. This is the most aggressive anti-worker government in the history of our province, and you think that we should just play nice and hope that they do the same. Well, I'm sorry, what goes around comes around, and it's coming around for the UCP right now. And I would argue that the reason that the Premier is really upset about this is because he's afraid that he's going to have a harder time getting these companies to pay for, do his dirty work through PACs again. And so he's really concerned. He's not really concerned about working Albertans. Don't be fooled. This guy pretends to be on the side of ordinary Albertans, but he's screwing all ordinary Albertans at every turn.
We're going to leave it there. It doesn't sound like it's going to stop anytime soon. For the record, you're making a lot of assumptions about my own personal views in all of this. I'm just asking you questions, but I do appreciate you taking the time to answer them, Gil. McGowan, appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.